definitely. Looking at our standings here, it looks like quite a few of our players got eliminated in the past couple of rounds. Kiyun, Malala, Fanda Kiki, and Gorgleflurp all going down. And our top three with LeBlanc, like we've talked about, that Darius is just so strong with the Radiant BT Adaptive Helm Titan setup. Um, who do you
Yeah, we'll
think is
see if
going
it'll be.
to? Oh,
We'll
go
see if
ahead.
Darius is able to take down that Baron now, because Konda's the one playing Baron, right?
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken. So we'll see if it's able, like, now that have the LeBlanc 3, I think they're one off Draven 3. Are they able to actually take it down? I feel like there weren't as many upgrades to hit on the Baron. Like, G9 has extra room to hit. We hit the Draven 3, so I feel like it might be enough to win now.
Yeah, definitely. That's a huge like stat boost from the Triforce and the extra healing from the Celestial Blessing. So very, very strong combat augments all around. Going up against J or C's, looks like a pretty list Seraphim board now with the T Hex. Um, looks like he had 6 Lissandras prior, but he did sell all of them.
Yeah, I think he's told to go level 9, right? Because I thought he was level 8. Uh, unless I'm mistaken there, but
Mm.
I guess it's one of those just couldn't fit the other Lissandra.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, what a close fight. The
Oh,
huge stun from Lissandra right at the end to be able to stop it. Getting that Radiant item, having that Piltover spat, getting the Radiant from 6 Piltover to be able to, like, that might have been enough to take it down.
definitely. And the way that Disruptor Spat interacts with this Lissandra, just putting in a huge amount of work on this board, as well as the think that this board has with the T Hex eating the Failure Tower. It seems like that is a funny interaction that I personally find to be a little funny. Um,
Yeah, we definitely saw last patch where T-Hex, where it's like, it doesn't matter what you eat, just throw like an Azir Sand Soldier in there. Well, hey, if you have Fresh in, you don't need the Azir. You just have this body that this statue can't move. It's not going to do anything. It's never on your front line. So it's like, it's the perfect eat.
yeah, definitely. I'm also loving how in this set you can do all of those things with the kind of the neutral units that you put on your board with, let's say, Trap and Nico in the back corner with Azir Sand Soldiers, so you can get maximum value on your Nidalee. Oh, but it looks like JC's board goes down to the
Going down
Baron
the Baron.
too.
So we have the two boards. We have the Darius v Baron that we'll see what can actually, how this ends. It's a great way to end this game.
I'm looking forward to it. Maybe we can get the replay of the 1v1 of the Baron versus the Darius.
But also, just to mention your Azir that you brought up, I think this was the perfect set to just reprint Azir. It's just being so much that you can do, like you said, with the Sand Soldiers. Like, this feels like the set to do it, to just like bring something back. Just like reprints sometimes pretty good.
Definitely. And going into our last fight here, the Baron immediately going for the backline, but not targeting any of the key units.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting position, having the Darius on the far right, so that the Baron like just hits like the useless backliner units on the left side, staying away from the Draven, but it doesn't look like enough. It looks like the Baron is stronger. Sorry to foreshadow Darius being able to potentially beat it. Looks like this Baron board just kind of capped, hitting that win out for like the Void Baron that we hadn't seen much for the last couple of patches, being able to like come back, kind of piloting that very well, hitting the Baron when need to. Saying worth the wait Cho'Gath, the worst thing we could hit. Hey, what do you know? We went first.
Definitely. I tend to agree with you. Super, super well played from Konda. Also, godsend of that 3-2 prismatic for hitting win out, and in such a high econ start with the worth the wait. We definitely know that we're not going to Cho'Gath 4, so we're just getting 2 gold every single turn, and the extra boost from the 4-2 econ augment as well, allowing us to unlock the Baron on 5-1 and kind of just snowballing from there. It was smooth sailing for Konda.
Yeah, playing that early HP really well to be able to notice at 3-2. I think he's still 100 HP at 3-2. Being like, okay, I've got that extra 2 gold a turn. I hit Cho'Gath this same turn. Like, it just, all the pieces kind of aligned to see that angle of like, hey, I can do this. I can make it to 9. Looking at the strength of the lobby where it looked like the bottom fairly weak, where it's like, I can survive long enough to make it to 9 at a reasonable pace and then find this Baron. So really, really well piloted, especially from like a worth the wait Cho'Gath spot that like not what anyone is like hoping to see. So props to Konda, very well played.
Definitely. It looks like also we'll need to keep a close eye on those 3 cost reroll lines that we've talked about. Maybe Prismatic Econ Start was not the best setup for these, but maybe in a lower cap lobby, we'll start to see more of the cost rerolls pop up again. Maybe some low roll boards that didn't hit their 2-star forecast. But a lot of variety all in all with just looking at the spread of like traits you played and super well played from all of our players here.
Agreed. Yeah, I think it's just whatever I say, players do the opposite. It's working for them. I don't know what I'm talking about.
It's because the caster curse is too strong.
But very very exciting game.
Yeah, should we take a look at the standings? Or okay, then we will be back after a short break. Tuned for games 5 and 6. Welcome back to Game 5. Before we go into the actual games, here are the updated standings for our players. And it looks like the top four so far are all LATAM players. Uh,
We have Shoma, we have some NA rep,
we have a
but
little bit of
yes,
NA
3 of
rep.
the top 4. Brazil's
Uh,
showing us how this patch is done.
Definitely. Maybe NA gotta keep up with the meta read. And there was a little bit of controversy when LATAM first joined the Americas League of like, hey, Diamond players are joining the Tactician Trials. But looks like they're doing so well going into this weekend.
Yeah, I think they're definitely like showing. I think it's not necessarily that they're showing the strength of their region. I think being able to mix those two regions that they did, like yes, there was that meme of like, oh, diamond players. I think mixing those regions has like brought that region up as a whole. So like I think like they're showing, hey, we are the same level now. As like they're being able to like get this tourney experience and compete against like these NA players. Like NA used to be like kind of seen as like the super region that all the players would come scrim from a bunch of regions from. So being able to like actually play in these competitive games again against them, I think has kind of just like brought them up together. And now that they're up there, they're like, hey, now NA, catch back up to us now. Like we're gonna take the lead for a bit. So it's kind of cool to see.
Definitely. Creating some healthy competition is always super, super good for a region. And we've seen Konda just playing that Void line so, so well in the last game as well. So um, I am excited to see what our Latin players can come up with versus, our more familiar North American players. With that being said, should we take a look at the lobbies that we're going to spectate for games 5 and 6? Okay. Any of these lobbies that are standing out to you, Cora? I'm seeing some big names in lobby 4, like Dank Memes we've talked about in day 1 briefly in our broadcast. There's Cambuli, Dehua, Kurimex, some big names in TFT. Lobby 1, we have like Spencer, Crazy Cat, Ripple Overdrive. Our casters are a huge fan of Ripple. But yeah, any of these lobbies that you're particularly taking a look at?
Yeah, great. I think you mentioned all the names that I was gonna mention too, but I think it's also like these are the players that we all recognize and know, like as some of like the bigger names. So it's like all kind of exciting to see. And some of these players that we haven't really got to see much of yet, on broadcasts like Karoom or like Dank Beams, Cambule. So like, I think we're jumping onto lobby for like a perfect lobby to like see some of these players we haven't seen as much from. Uh, but it's one of those like as look at all the lobbies, like I can name like 3 players in every lobby. So it's like there's not a wrong with like I think so many of these players like in the competitive TFT scene, like you see so many of the same names come back. So it's like kind of have like a vague like reading of like all of these players. But it's also exciting to see is like half of these players, maybe it's I'm not as like caught up to date on competitive TFT, but like there's a lot of players I don't recognize either. That it's always exciting to see like them compete against all these other well-knowns, and like always new blood is so exciting.
Definitely. I want to call out Penny Andrew, who has been known more of as a TFT TikToker, but he has been playing so, so well in the past few competitive circuits, and one of the newer names coming into this competitive TFT scene. So, super excited to go into Lobby 4 and see how Penny Andrew goes up against kind of the bigger names in TFT so far. Kurum, we know, has been in the scene for quite a while. So, yeah, and some other names that I want to call out is, Shoma from the Boom Kitchen Squad, all a little bit more recent to the TFT scene, but excited to see how these players perform.
Yeah, and starting out here, we get going into our 5th game, Rift Herald. We get to see some crabs, which is always more econ, more items, more everything. So
Yes.
it'll be exciting to see what direction. I feel like I was wrong on my meta read last game. Maybe it was a one-off game. Maybe it was just a wrong meta read. But having crabs here to have that extra econ, it'd be interesting to see. Do they play more in this 3-cost reroll that we did see a lot of last game, or do they look more for like those fast 9 boards, play around, cap around legendaries?
Mhm. Definitely. It'll be really interesting to see what their 2-1 augment choice, which I feel is super, super defining in the past few sets in TFT as like which direction the player wants to take their boards into. So we'll see how this players play out like their stage 1, stage 2.
Yeah, I think especially when you see like Scuttle Puddle, where it's like that first augment, where if you also get a prismatic augment as your first one, you're just like injecting the econ straight into your veins, where it's like there's so much value. There's where it's like, okay, these boards are gonna be extremely capped towards the end. But if we end up just getting a silver, it's like, okay, well, it's like kind of like having a gold in another lobby because we have the scuttle to offset it. So we'll see stronger boards in general at the end, but curious to see how much stronger based off what you want.
Definitely. And we're seeing a Spirits Ionia, which is pretty strong combat. And considering the recent changes in the Yone unlock, we're seeing some super, super high cap Ionia boards that they don't necessarily revolve around Junara, which we've been seeing a lot more of in the past few cups, but around Ari, Set, Yone, and getting like a Silas in, maybe sticking a Ryzen here and there, a Zillion. So maybe we'll see a little bit more of those value boards coming out, like you said, with those extra resources from Skull Crabs.
I think the Yunara at this point just kind of feels like old news. She had her time in the
Definitely.
sun for several patches, and now it's like, new toys. I've got a Yone.
Exactly.
But coming here, we do have the silver starting out to like kind of offset the scuttle, so it's like not as low as like if it was just a normal lobby with silvers, but uh, like to kind of play around having those extra upgrades between both. Uh, and then we may see prismatics later still as like all of that extra econ flows in. Or who knows, maybe we low roll on the augment rarity, but I don't know. There's so many different directions this can go, but silvers don't tend to give you direction.
Definitely. Deleted here, just immediately slamming the Morello Void Staff. We know that LeBlanc is a super, super strong unit. So I'm curious to see if he ends up going for that LeBlanc reroll line that we saw in the last game as well and that we've been talking so much about. Or will we see potentially a fast day AP Noctis board?
Yeah, I'm really curious which direction they go. I've somewhat on this set, like LeBlanc has been my go-to unit this entire set. Like, I can't tell you how many different variations I've played around this unit. I think she's like so strong, both like the item holder into like, I think on this patch she's probably more item holder for Mel, who is extremely strong player on that flex board. But we've seen also like she is very strong in reroll lines too. So like so many options just by getting that early scion and being able to unlock. But when a unit's that strong, when you look around, if there's 3, 4 players playing the LeBlanc to tempo into like a Mel or a faster, it's like, well, I can't really reroll because everyone's holding this unit forever, which also like kind of hurts it a bit. So curious to see how like the rest of the lobby unlocks her or not.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of AP lines, Dewa slamming a Nashers and deciding to full sack his Sage 2. Looks like he is very, very rich with 40 gold going to 2-2. But with that extra econ boost, will we go into a 3-cost reroll line or will we go into a more traditional 4-cost AP line like Lissandra Seraphine that we've seen so much of? Or maybe a secret third option that we're not aware of just yet?
Yeah, 40 does a lot, and being able to time that Nashers and having that glove to then also play that last trick, like Nashers is like good, but it's only good if you also have the jewel gauntlet. So it has half of that, so like kind of plays into that being able to lose to guarantee you can get a rod off carousel to like get that value from that item. Because until you're able to crit, Nashers is like not very much value. So like all of that plays well together at 2-3, hitting 50 gold. It's just going to be so far ahead of the lobby in terms of econ.
Definitely. Still speaking of LeBlanc, we have yet another LeBlanc player from Kurum with the Morello already level 5 with the Silver Spoon. Having a pretty strong early game board, looking to potentially 5-streak into neutrals.
Yeah, this is definitely like I said, where it's like a lot of players like look to use LeBlanc as their early item holder, which is where like I'm scouting around like, can I reroll it? Do I also have to like use this as item holder or not? So it's like one of those, how many players should choose to do it? But I think she's one of the best ones. We see here, Dank Beam's also with it, so we already know there's at least 3 players with LeBlanc already unlocked.
Definitely. Are we looking
And
at
we'll
any particular units on this carousel here?
I think the only thing for like mentioned Daewoo wanting to make sure we see get the rod, so he's got the JG Nashers and on a Scion, which is pretty big. Has that Scion pair. We see Licking over there. He has Bard, so Licking to like potentially reroll around it with those items. So great start there for Daewoo. Now to just convert all of that HP loss and the huge econ start to see where it ends up taking him. Other players not so sure about. We have, like I said, 3 LeBlancs taken out of the board. We have Dank Memes with a Scion 2, Daewoo with a Scion 2. So it's just like a lot of these people have all the same units. It's kind of crazy. They also just like hit their upgrades.
Yeah, definitely. Meanwhile, I think we looked at a couple of our potentially AD players with David Ace. Gwynsu BT already slammed. We know that's going to go on a Yone eventually. And it's going to be so much easier to get that Yone unlocked with hopefully Yasuo 2 coming relatively soon.
Yeah, I've heard of some players like on 3-2, if like already having that Yone 2, or not Yone, that Yasuo 2, on 3-2, just going straight to 7, roll all of your gold, go, or not roll all of your gold, go all the way down to 0 gold, get a Yone, and then just steamroll all of stage 3 and stage 4 and regain that econ that way to just like hard punish the lobby, do as much damage as you can, because now all it takes is a Yasuo 2. Which is not something you would have been able to see before.
Definitely. And that was a pretty brutal loss for Dank Memes, who was looking to 5 streak. Meanwhile, we have Kurum with an early Seraphine. So we are going out of the LeBlanc into, it looks like a more traditional AP4 cost setup.
Yeah, and I think when you see like you also have the continuum cogs, it's like, okay, yes, I can play around the Seraphine, like probably the best like 2 Piltover bonus there if you're trying to play into the AP line. So it's like huge. They're already on stage 2 having that and being able to play around.
Definitely. Ooh, speaking of Yone and Yasuo, looks like
Yeah,
Cambioli already has a Yasuo 2 from the caretakers, it looks
yeah,
like.
I'm assuming that's from Caretakers, considering he has 4 total and not any of the other upgrades. I can't see it being any other unit there. So I'm curious if what he decides to do at 3-2 based off augment. Does he decide to like push levels quickly for that Yone? We have the extra econ from Scuttle that like it makes it that much easier to do. Or
Mhm.
does he like roll it a little bit and does he play it even though you don't need the Yasuo 3? Hey, if I can hit a Yasuo 3 pretty easily, maybe roll a couple, get a few, and then push the levels to get the last few from Caretakers, like still a very strong unit. Yasuo was not hurt at all. He wasn't nerfed. So there's still the power of that unit. You just don't need it for the Yone anymore. But still, same power strength.
Definitely. I want
And
to
then
point
here,
out Penny Andrew here
yes, same thing.
with the Rumble hero augment. How are we kind of evaluating this hero augment compared to potentially other hero augments or maybe some of the other setups that we're seeing in this lobby?
Yeah, somehow we missed the hero rumble here, but I feel like it's one of those where it's like this entire set has been one of the most like fun ones to watch, but fun does not always equal good. I think last patch or 2 patches ago, like he was very strong. Um, I don't think he got nerfed, but I think there was so much strength given to a bunch of other units that I think he's all right. If you have the right items for him, you can probably do pretty well. But I think you're like really hoping to hit like those upgrades faster than like you would have needed to before. So I'm curious to